There are two very popular opinions in crypto right now. The first being that we are following the standard 4-year halving cycle, which means that Bitcoin and the entire altcoin market must continue to fall until the end of 2026. And the second, which is the more bearish case, is that crypto is officially dead, everything is going to zero, and there is no point in continuing to invest into this asset class. But guys, in this video, I'm going to explain why these popular opinions are giving me a lot of hope that we should actually be bullish. And guys, I am not by any means denying the fact that we have been in a very bearish period in crypto since October of last year. I mean, Bitcoin reached $126,000, and since then it is all the way down to 68,000, and it bottomed at 60,000. Ethereum almost hit all-time highs at 4,850, and since then we have dropped 60% all the way down to $2,000. And Solana, XRP, Dogecoin, basically every other altcoin is down tremendously from their highs of 2025. But in my opinion, guys, buying this dip is actually the correct move. Of course, that is not financial advice, that is just my opinion. But whenever we see irrational fear, which is what I believe is happening right now, historically it has been a great time to be accumulating. And when you go on over to the chart that shows when credible people claim that Bitcoin is dead, you can see that when this starts to happen a lot, which is happening right now, that is typically a sign that the bottom is either in or very close. Now, of course, this indicator is not perfect because as you can see back in 2022, there was quite a few calls that Bitcoin was dead and we did end up having another leg down. But at the same time, guys, you can see when we officially bottomed in 2022, there was an absurd amount of people calling that Bitcoin was dead. And you can actually see here that somebody credible had stated at that time that one day you will wish you would have sold Bitcoin for $20,000. Now, looking back on it 3 years later, I don't think anybody wishes they sold Bitcoin at $20,000. So yeah, guys, in my opinion, it is very important to not just take these quote unquote credible analysts seriously when they make statements like this, because they are wrong more often than not. And you can see right now that we are actually having an absurd amount of calls that Bitcoin and crypto is dead. An example of this is somebody from Deutsche Bank is saying that because of the fact that gold and silver outperformed Bitcoin in 2025, that Bitcoin is no longer digital gold, and basically says that there is now no reason to invest into this asset class. Now, of course, I completely disagree with this statement. I think that he is far too zoomed in, because when you zoom out on the chart further than just the last year's price action, Bitcoin has dramatically outperformed gold and silver for the last 20 years, and in my opinion, I expect it to continue to do so for a very long time. So yeah, guys, I just found that very interesting, and I do believe that this is definitely a bottom signal. And of course, we could continue to drop. I mean, we could go down to 40 to 50,000 for Bitcoin, but that is far from a guarantee. And in my opinion, dollar cost averaging now is a good idea, regardless if we drop in the short term. And there is a chance that we will continue to drop because there has just been a lot of uncertainty in the overall macro economy. And here you can see that today, President Trump has decided to increase his global tariffs on all countries from 10% to 15%. And this is coming after the Supreme Court deemed these tariffs illegal yesterday. So I'm not exactly sure what the strategy is here. I have been somewhat pro tariffs for the last year or so because I do believe they are a great negotiating tactic for the US, and we also are generating quite a bit of revenue off of them. But I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this. I mean, I believe that we have a lot of tariffs to begin with. So the fact that we are now implementing another 15% on every single country on top of existing tariffs seems like a bit of an overkill to me. So we'll just have to see what ends up playing out with this situation. But I wouldn't be surprised if this causes more short-term uncertainty, which of course is never great for price action of these coins. But the good news, on the other hand, is the fact that Iran and US officials are now restarting their nuclear deal negotiations. Now, I do believe that this is incredibly bullish in the short term because there was a lot of uncertainty regarding whether or not the US was going to strike Iran this weekend or even go into a full-blown war in an effort to get a regime change in Iran, and I don't think anybody wanted to see that happen. So this is very good. So we'll just have to see what ends up taking place with this, and hopefully they do end up making some sort of deal without any military strikes. Alright guys, and then another very bullish thing for the crypto market in particular is the fact that the odds are continuing to surge that we will have the crypto market structure bill signed at some point this year. Now guys, I know I've talked about this a lot in my recent videos, videos, but I do believe this is very important for the crypto market, and people have been waiting on this since the early days of crypto. I do believe that once this bill is passed, it will significantly reduce the overall manipulation in the market, which in my opinion we have been dealing with a lot in the past couple of months. And I believe with that reduced manipulation, it will likely incentivize more institutions and banks to get involved into this space. And of course, banks and institutions have the most money to invest into assets, and if they start to heavily invest into crypto, that will undoubtedly help the price action in the current market. So yeah, in my opinion, do not overlook this, and I think this is something that people should be very excited about. And once this does pass, there is a legitimate chance that this could spark the next bull run in crypto. And I get that a lot of people are very bearish right now because the price action has been so bad for the past couple of months, and a lot of people think that it is just impossible that we will ever see good times in crypto again. But I did want to point this out. This is the Bitcoin liquidation heat map that shows what price Bitcoin has to hit in order for a lot of people to get liquidated, and you can see that there are very few long positions open beneath us and an absurd amount of short positions open above us. Now guys, in my opinion, say that this crypto market structure bill passes and we get some very bullish news like a massive institution buying Bitcoin, that could spark a lot of excitement to re-enter the market. And guys, with all of these short positions open above us, I could definitely see a short squeeze taking place where we end up quickly reversing back to the upside for Bitcoin, and we could quite literally go back to all-time highs very quickly because of the fact that we have so many people to liquidate. If you are waiting until October because of the 4-year halving cycle to start your dollar cost averaging, it is very important to know that this move could happen very quickly, and it is very possible that being patient and waiting until October could have you completely miss this move for Bitcoin and the entire altcoin market. But alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope that you all have a fantastic weekend, and remember, stay strong, stay bullish, and ignore the FUD. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.